We now turn our attention to boxing and the upcoming World Heavyweight title fight coming up on the 20th of August at the Jeddah Superdome. We've got Oleksandr Usyk defending his titles against Anthony Joshua in the rematch. In terms of the betting, we've got Usyk 8 to 15, the draw 20 to 1, Anthony Joshua the outsider at 6 to 4. And in terms of records, we've got Usyk 19 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses, 13 wins by stoppage or KO. We've got Anthony Joshua 24 2 and 0, 22 wins by KO, and those 2 losses, 1 to Usyk and 1 to Andy Ruiz. So it's a very interesting fight. First fight went Usyk's way, put on a boxing masterclass. Joshua beaten on points conclusively, and now he has the opportunity to come back and win his titles back in Jeddah, in Saudi, which has obviously gone there for financial reasons. There's a lot of money to be made hosting the event there, so we're not going to get it in the UK again, but it's going to be a big event. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it, and it's going to be interesting. If we look at Joshua's keys to victory, it's widely thought that he needs a different attitude, he needs a different mental outlook, and needs a different strategy. Many people have said that it was unwise to adopt a sort of boxing mindset. He should have been more aggressive. I remember hearing Jimmy Tibbs giving his comments, saying that Joshua needs to throw everything at him, impose himself, impose his height and reach and his weight advantages. And this was all said before the fight. Usyk just managed to nullify all Joshua's advantages physically and just used all his skills, all his amateur experience, all his pedigree, all the Olympic pedigree that he has. And Joshua has Olympic pedigree as well. But Usyk is thought to be a magician and a great technician, and he just beat him with output, he beat him with head movement, he beat him with... He seemed to outsmart him, and Joshua fought a kind of a technical boxing fight. He didn't fight an aggressive, take the bull by the horns sort of fighting technique, and that played into Usyk's hands. Joshua, it's widely thought that he needs a change of mindset. I think the feedback regarding Joshua's loss and what he has to do to win has been a little bit... I think it's been a bit insulting. Like, everybody's giving him tips. There's about 1 million interviews. Everyone's giving their advice and all that. Joshua's an accomplished heavyweight. He's beaten a lot of great fighters. And obviously there's the Andy Ruiz loss, which he avenged. And now he's got a new challenge here. But he beat all comers, really, in his career before this. He's got a lot of experience. And I think that's the key to this. He's probably got to believe in his own tools a bit more and use what he's got. Think of himself, think of what he's got. It seemed to be a case of him thinking about what Usyk's going to do. And when you're thinking in that way, you forget what you can do and what your attributes are. So he's got to take some risks, basically. I don't think he took any risks in the first fight. He played it very cautious. He tried to be prudent, tried to be wise and smart, which obviously you've got to do against Usyk. You can't be stupid against Usyk. But someone who's as talented as Usyk, I don't think is wise to try and outbox him. Because in terms of boxing and racking up points in the heavyweight division, this guy's unbeaten at cruiserweight. He's unbeaten as a professional. There's a lot of narratives here that you can fall into, but I think it is fair to say that the narrative is he's a better boxer, Usyk, and Joshua's actually just got to go for it at some point. He can either come out the gate and empty the clip and go for it and look for the knockout. That's what Jimmy Tibbs was saying. And Robert Garcia, his new trainer, is definitely talking about a more aggressive... He's talking about bringing the dog out of Joshua. I think that's simplifying a little bit. It's easy to say, but against Usyk, trying to land aggressive punches isn't easy. Someone with that head movement, someone with that footwork, someone with that strategic outlook on fighting that Usyk has, and has perfected, really, as a Hall of Fame fighter already. It's easy to say, but he's going to have to take a risk. He's going to have to risk being hit. He's going to have to just focus on coming forward rather than worrying about footwork and trying to be clever and trying to be smart against someone who's very difficult to outsmart. Usyk's keys to victory is his head movement. He's got to maintain the high output of punches. He did that in the first fight and always has done. He landed a lot of pot shots as well. Caught Joshua on the unawares. Caught him when he was off balance. And nearly getting the stoppage late on. Joshua, in the end, was hanging on and managed to survive. But I think Usyk's going to be a more confident fighter here. This is the issue with the whole thing. It's very simple. I think it's about who's got more faith in their tools. Usyk, very strong mentally, seems to be very confident. Joshua's got a lot of good tools. He's got all those attributes, the height. He's got probably the power advantage. He's got the reach advantage. He's got to believe in those tools. Usyk believes in his. Joshua's got to believe in his tools, and take chances at some point and try and take Usyk out. I mean, that's what he's got to do. He's got to go for it. It didn't feel like he really let his hands go in the first fight. Obviously, he was under a lot of pressure. There was a lot of artillery coming the other way, so he's probably spending a lot of time dodging punches and trying to survive. But, you know, he didn't feel like he really leant on his punches and really tried to take Usyk's head off. It is hard to land clean on someone with that sort of head movement, but you've got to take some chances. And it really does depend. I think it depends on what Joshua shows up. We know what Usyk's going to show up. It's the same guy. Turns up, he's professional, he's in the zone. He's going to stick to his boxing. He's going to jab and move. He's going to make it difficult to... It's going to be difficult to hit with his footwork. You know what you're getting. Joshua, if he owns everything that he's got and all his attributes, he'll be a force to be reckoned with, and he'll give Usyk a hard time. If he turns out how he did in the first fight and is viewing the fight through Usyk's lens, i.e. thinking about Usyk's attributes and how he has to outbox him, it's going to be a hard night for him once again. In terms of the betting, I don't know if there's a great amount of betting opportunities here. Usyk's a favourite at 8 to 15, probably a rightful favourite judging by what happened in the first fight. Joshua's out at 6 to 4. Obviously, the bookies seem to be very careful here. They've not really offered a big price on the outsider. And Usyk at 8 to 15, fair enough. The draw 20 to 1. I don't really see that happening, to be honest. The draw is a heavyweight fight at the end of the day. Most likely outcome, I'd say Usyk on points. You can get 13 to 8 on that. So approaching 2 to 1. That's probably the most likely outcome. If you go by the evidence of the first fight, unless a different Anthony Joshua shows up, that's probably the way things are looking. Joshua by knockout 14 to 5, so that's nearly 3 to 1. Definitely a possibility if he comes out and goes for it. Joshua by decision 13 to 2. So quite big odds there on Joshua by decision. It's an interesting price there actually. If you think that Joshua can survive and you know, he's not going to be knocked out and it's going to go the distance, there is a possibility that the judges viewing Joshua, you know, Joshua's the cash cow of the business out of the pair of them. Joshua is the one that can lead to a lot of revenue. Also Usyk can as well. Don't decry Usyk at all. One of the greatest technical fighters of all time, but I think there is a feeling that Joshua is one of the cash cows in the business. Someone who sells tickets. They want to beef up a potential Joshua Fury fight in the future. So if it's close on the cards at the end of the fight, mind you, it is in Saudi as well. It's not like it's being held in the UK, so maybe it will be totally impartial. But most likely outcome, Usyk 13 to 8. I think Joshua 13 to 2 on points is interesting, but I just think the way that Usyk won the first fight was so conclusive that Joshua has to do a lot to overcome that, and it's hard to pick him in this, even though he has all the attributes. But it's all on him really. If he turns up and uses what he's got, he could blow Usyk away in a few rounds. If he has that aggressive outlook and is prepared to empty the clip early on, just be aggressive, take the bulls by the horns, you know, impose himself on him. It's all the things we said for the first fight. He knows what he has to do. It's whether he's embodied all these. Everyone's been saying the same thing. It's whether he's been listening to what's been said. I listened to Robert Garcia. Had a word with himself and said, look, you know, I've done a lot in my career. I can also go down as an all-time great as well. Fighting an all-time great, but I've also got the tools to deal with an all-time great. Then he might come out on top and avenge for the second time, as he did against Ruiz. He could do the same against Usyk. By the way, enjoy the fight. My recommendation for the most likely outcome is Usyk on points at 13 to 8. Please give any comments letting us know what way you think the fight will go and why, or any betting recommendations you have. Enjoy the fight on the 20th of August, and I'll see you next time.